I spent 15 years in a sexually incompatible relationship, and I had no idea how to fix it until I met Jay, who taught me the 5 ways that you can have an epic sex life that no one told you, or me either. I'm really excited for number 5 because it's something that Jay and I haven't fully discussed before until today. Yay! So let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. No? Okay. So, Jay, how can I have an epic sex life if I don't even know what I want?
Great question. And the first way is something I barely hear anyone talk about, which is self-awareness. Okay. You pick up any book on sexuality or intimacy, you talk to any intimacy or relationship coach, you think the first words out of their mouth are going to be self-awareness?
No.
Right. Because self-awareness is like the vegetables of sexuality. Massively helpful, very healthy, results in all the best outcomes, but it's not very flashy, right? No one wants to spend time on it. They want some aphrodisiac they can buy. They want some lingerie they can pick up. They want a quick button they can push or a pill they can take for magical epic sex.
Yeah. So when I was researching this topic and I was looking on Reddit, a lot of people are saying the exact same things that you just listed to improve your sex life.
Yeah, they'll say stuff like, buy her roses or give him time alone or whatever. Mm-hmm. These things can be helpful, but ultimately they have self-awareness at their core. For example, can you communicate something that you're not aware of? Can you communicate a want or a desire that you're not aware of?
No.
Right. So then communication sucks if you don't have self-awareness.
True.
Can you practice a skill if you're not even aware that it's weak or needs practicing?
No.
Right. So getting better at sex is useless unless you have self-awareness.
Right.
Can you let someone go if you're not even aware that they're holding you back or that they're a mismatch?
No.
Right. So switching partners isn't going to work either unless you're self-aware.
Fair play. Yeah.
So self-awareness is massive, huge, if you want an epic sex life. Who do you think has the best sex on the planet? People who are clueless about what they want, what their goals are, what their desires are, who's a fit for them, who's not a fit for them, what needs to be communicated and what doesn't, or people who are clueless about all that stuff and just bumbling through hoping their sex gets better.
No, the self-aware people. Yeah. Makes sense.
There you go.
Because if you know who you are and what you like and what you want, then you can have an epic sex life.
When you were younger and less aware of what you wanted in a partner or out of life or in the bedroom, how did things go for you? Did you have a great sex life?
No.
Okay. But now, as you've gotten older and learned more about yourself and done the personal development and the self-help and the self-improvement, and you know who's a good partner for you and what you're looking for and what your goals are and so on, what happens? How's your sex life now?
It's way better.
Right.
It's much better.
Yeah. So then the question is, how do you become more self-aware? And it's not really that hard. As a kid, you were naturally improving your self-awareness. First, you didn't know what language was. Then you became aware of it. Then you became aware that you were weak at language and you needed to practice it. Then you became aware that other kids had stuff you didn't or whatever. And you started focusing on that. Then you became more aware of philosophy and the world and so on. And as your awareness grew, and your awareness of yourself and your environment grew, you were able to accomplish far more things, reach many more goals.
Right.
And anytime you stopped being self-aware or put that to the side, you would struggle in that area. If you weren't self-aware enough to know when people were taking advantage of you, you would end up being taken advantage of for decades until you became aware of it and realized, oh, I need to set boundaries. This is not healthy. So you know from experience, you used to benefit a lot from increasing your self-awareness, and then you also suffered when you stopped increasing your self-awareness.
Yeah, 100% yes.
Okay, but what's the difference between you as a toddler improving your awareness and you now improving your awareness?
I'm more aware of my awareness. Like I didn't purposefully do it as a child to improve my self-awareness. No.
Are you sure?
I mean, that was never the thought, like, oh, this will improve my self-awareness.
Maybe, but did you know this is the best path to growth for me? So intuitively, as a kid, you pursued self-awareness.
Yes.
But as a teenager, you didn't think you knew everything and you stopped trying to become self-aware?
Oh, yeah, fair play, okay.
The growth slowed down?
Yeah, I did. I thought I knew everything and I was smarter than everyone. Yes, fair enough.
For a minute, I was worried you weren't even self-aware enough to answer this question.
No, yes. Yeah. Okay. Got you.
Even conversations don't go smoothly if you're not self-aware.
Right.
As a kid, you had a lot of time to yourself, or you made a lot of time to yourself to think things through, to sit with things, to feel your feelings.
Yeah.
As an adult, what do? Wake up, do all our chores and make our food, go to work, make lunch, go back to work, come home, turn on what?
Oh, social media or Netflix.
Yeah. Until when?
Till bedtime.
Exactly. Where's the time for self-awareness there?
Yeah. There's no time for that.
But did you cram your days full of stimulation and dopamine like that when you were a kid?
Oh, no.
Right.
There was time for reflection. There was time for...
Yeah. If a kid at school upset you, you got to think about it. You got to lay in bed and think about it. You would write about it. You would journal about it. You would talk to friends about it. You would really work it through.
Yeah.
Might even bring it up with parents until you became self-aware enough to overcome it.
Right. Yeah.
But that happened less and less over time. And now, as an adult, how often do you take time for self-reflection? Do you think, hey, my life isn't going as fast as I want it, or I'm not getting the results I wanted enough. Maybe I need to change. Maybe there's something I need to look at here. Do you write out any issues or problems you have? Do you sit with any feelings? Or do you just constantly cram dopamine and stimulation in to hopefully escape reality?
Well, I'm definitely in a different stage in my life than I was back then. And so now I spend time with myself, self-reflecting daily, but it has to be put in my routine. And if I don't do that, then I feel off. Yeah, I feel different.
Makes sense. But let me ask you, did you self-reflect more when I was gone and you were alone, or when I was here?
No, when you were gone.
Yeah.
Because I was alone.
So when did you get the most growth in self-awareness?
When I was alone.
And as a kid, when did you get the most growth in self-awareness?
Same, when I was alone.
Okay. So if you're living with someone or surrounded by family and you don't take alone time and you're constantly connecting to the internet and connecting to social media, what happens to your alone time and what happens to your growth?
It slows down.
So if you want an epic sex life and you understand that self-awareness is going to play a key role, and you understand that self-awareness really only comes when we're alone, unplugged from other people's energies and social media and all the dopamine and stimulation, what do people kind of have to do if they want a great sex life?
Spend some time alone in self-reflection.
Can you see that being a huge win? Can you see everybody like cheering for this? Can you see people cheering for tip number 1? Be more self-aware, go be alone, have some self-reflection, and that's going to be the key to your epic sex life?
No, because we're all busy. We have kids, or even if we don't have kids, we have pets, we have friends. We're, busy. I say this in quotes because I felt busy for years and I didn't do anything. Okay, the kids got taken care of. We went to dance class. We went to drama classes. We did the things. We, ran around. Everyone was fed. Everyone had clean clothes, but I wasn't doing anything to move my life forward. And I was spending all my time on Netflix when everything was calm. And so saying this back then to me would have felt like giving up the only happiness I have in this world. This is the only free time I have. And you're telling me to give it up to self-reflect and think about my life and this kind of sex I like and the kind of sex I want and what I like. It's a bit much. I can see why people won't like it.
Yeah, exactly. But they need to watch our procrastination episode, our time management episode.
Yeah.
Because every second of the day that passes by that you're not doing this, you're getting further from your sex life, and it gets harder to change things, and your partners get more entrenched in their ways, and things are less likely to change. And so, yeah, you can take your Netflix and your only happiness and your coffee time or whatever. Is it really worth trading that for epic sex?
No. And sex means so much to people. I've been on Reddit and seen the dead bedrooms. There's a lot more than people would ever suspect out there in this world. And those people, if they had an opportunity to fix it, they would jump at the chance to self-reflect. And I think or maybe not, I don't know. Some people just want to point fingers, but regardless, I think it's way worth taking the time to get to know yourself and your desires and the things you really want with sex or anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why it's tip number 1. And I don't care how many people hate it. This is a truth. It needs to be said. And it's going to be the number 1 path anyone can take to get the epic sex life that they want. So there it is. And a second part of this is people's attitude towards delay. So if you have a desire for water, if you're thirsty, you can have 2 attitudes about it. Panic, oh my God, I'm dying of thirst and dehydration. I'm never going to get water again. The world is ending. I need to steal from somebody now.
Oh my God.
Or it's all good. I've been thirsty before. I'll get there. I'm going to get up and get a drink. And if the tap's not working, I'll head down to Starbucks and get one from there. And if they have a lineup, I'll go out to the grocery store. You can have an attitude of panic or methodical, calm steps.
Right.
If you're hungry and there's no food in the fridge, you can have panic. Oh my God, I'm just going to starve. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do. Or, you know what? I've fasted before. I can fast again. I fast every night before I wake up. This is all good. I'm a full grown adult. I'm not going to die. I can take steps. I may have to go for takeout or go to the grocery store or borrow from a friend or something, but it's all good. I got this. I might be eating later than I wanted to. Again, with food, you can be aware of your desire. I have a desire for food, and you can have one of two approaches. A crunchy, stressed, panicky one, or a calm, methodical, zen one, or somewhere in between, but it's going to land on either side of that line.
Right.
But for some reason, when people are horny and they don't get sex, what attitude do they pick every time?
Panic.
Like, what? It's a big wide world, man. You'll get some. Chill. And which one brings it faster? Which attitude is going to get you the desire faster? If you panic, what happens?
Oh, if you panic, you just get more panic. You get more of what you don't want.
You stub your toe. Nothing clicks for you. Nothing goes right. Maybe you do get the water, but then you get attacked by a gang who are mad you stole their water. It goes bad.
Dominoes.
Yeah, you do not get your desire quenched very quickly with panic.
All right.
Find me someone who does. It's like it never happens.
No.
And on the rare freak times it does happen, there are super bad consequences.
Yep.
But show me someone who has a desire and who approaches it in a calm, methodical manner and has faith and expectation that, yes, I will solve this. And they're going to achieve it relatively quickly with no negative consequences.
Yeah.
So to me, food and water are definitely higher priority than getting laid.
Yes.
But for some reason, people handle those much calmer than they do physical intimacy.
I think because if you're comparing those three, food and water is everywhere. And if you're in a relationship with the person that...
Oh, sex is everywhere.
No. Yeah, I understand. But if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're loyal to them and they're not giving you that sex, it feels like you're never going to have it again. It feels awful. Like it feels easier to learn how to make a 7-course meal in 5 minutes than it does to get your partner who's not interested in having sex with you to want you, or even to express appreciation to you.
Maybe. I mean, everything's easy, like with practice. Like,
I agree.
For a toddler who's never learned how to cook, who may be an amputee or autistic or have some other stumbling block or obstacle or challenge that's making things more challenging than for most, to them, it probably feels easier to get a hug or something, to get some physical intimacy than it does to learn to cook in 5 minutes.
Fair enough.
So it's whatever. For some people, thing A is hard. For some people, thing B is difficult. Like, it doesn't matter. They're all doable with practice. Regardless, I don't really care what people's justifications are.
Right.
Like, they could make a giant list of why they're justified to panic about sex, but not panic about food. But it doesn't change the fact that one of these attitudes is going to get you your desire faster and one isn't.
Fair play. No.
Facts are facts.
Yeah. True. Well, then I highly suggest they focus on finding ways to get what they want instead of focusing on fear.
Yeah. And approach it in a calm, chill, methodical manner.
Okay. Well then, Jay, can you explain how can we find someone we can be sexually compatible with without banging every guy that we date?
Sure. You may remember we covered checkboxes pretty in depth in our How Not to Ever Get Hurt in a Relationship episode.
Yes.
Can you see how that checkbox system would solve the problem you just raised?
Yeah, because I know what checkboxes are. Yeah.
As long as you're self-aware and know what your checkboxes are, or your main checkboxes, or your deal breaker checkboxes, you can then meet people and interact with people and suss out whether they check those boxes. And that way you don't have to bang everybody to find out if they're compatible with you.
Can you give a little explanation on the checkboxes?
Real quick, for people who haven't seen that episode, every human being has checkboxes that they are judging other people against. And those checkboxes have higher priority, middle priority, or low priority, and they can change over time. So some people might have a wealth checkbox, and they need a certain amount of wealth in a partner before they feel comfortable. Others might have a body type checkbox, and they need a certain body type in a partner before they feel comfortable. They're just like preferences. Everyone has preferences. The more important these preferences are, the higher chance of them being a deal breaker there are. And so with sexuality, if you know that you like to be a dom and you prefer to be around submissive people, and that's a high checkbox, you can start looking for those signs when you meet somebody. Are they super assertive or are they super agreeable? Are they on a mission focused on their goal, or are they happy to support anyone or happy to support you? Do they have strong, firm boundaries, or are they more flexible and just happy to connect and relate? You can look for signs of submissiveness. If one of your checkboxes is that someone has a high sex drive, you can suss that out. You can look for signs of that. Do they talk about it a lot? Do they bring it up a lot? Are they very touchy-feely? Are they interested in it a lot? Do they come out and tell you, I have a sex drive of X out of 10? In fact, you can even ask people, do you check this box? And you better tell me the truth, because I'm going to hold you to this later. I don't want to get into a relationship based on a lie.
Yeah.
If you know you like the bedroom at a certain temperature at night, you can check with people how they like it. If you are more comfortable with exhibitionism or public sexuality and they're not, like, you can find these things out early and easily if you know your checkboxes. And if you're upfront about your checkboxes, rather than just trying to people please and hide them and I don't want to bring them up and whatever. If you're willing to use your checkboxes like a filter, you can start filtering people in and out depending on how well they match you.
So one of the things that annoys me when I'm reading Reddit, when people are asking questions on how to improve their sex life, or what do I do for this example or that. One of the things I've noticed is these people have zero standards. Not everybody, I'm just saying a lot of them. And so I think combined with being not self-aware and not even knowing what your check boxes are and being clear with that, then they get into a situation and they're like, well, what do I do now? Because he doesn't check this checkbox, but I didn't see anything and it's my bad. And then he showed me who he was and I didn't believe him and I needed 500 red flags, but I'm here on Reddit really for you to talk me out of really what I know what I should do. And it's kind of annoying.
Sure, it's annoying to see someone who has clearly outlined the situation and they clearly know that their checkboxes don't match and they never should have been with this person in the first place.
Yeah.
But they go on dragging it out.
Yes.
It's annoying to see that.
Yes.
Why would anyone want to see that?
Right.
I wouldn't want to see it if it was my kid or my friend or me. I don't want to see someone who has clearly outlined a mismatch and knows they should leave and refuses to do so.
Right.
I get that.
But I think when they're dating, if people weren't like trying to sleep together the first and second and third dates, they would be able to express this. They would have a conversation where they could say to somebody like, hey, I like to be dominated in bed. I am super submissive and I love to serve. How about you? So before I was with you, I was in an open relationship and I went on a few dates and I had certain things I was looking for while I was dating. And it was like the first thing I ever brought up because those were my
deal breaker checkbox.
Yes. Yeah. But I guess it's because too, I wasn't like looking to have sex the first time I met someone.
Yeah, this is the problem. I often compare choosing life partners similar to choosing houses. So when you buy a house or even rent a house, you have two ways to proceed. You can take that property on face value. Oh, it's in a nice neighborhood and it looks nice from the outside and good enough for me. I just want a roof over my head. I'll take anything. This is someone who's desperate with low standards and does not do their due diligence. These people often end up with lemons.
Yeah, most of
because, the pipe is rotting and, the electrical doesn't work. Yeah. And, I can't get Wi-Fi in this area or internet in this area. And, oh my God, there's construction everywhere. Did you see yourself buying the house? Like, did you see how you went about it? You were ridiculous. You looked at nothing. You rushed right into it. The second way is to do your due diligence. Be a shrewd investor. Make wise decisions. Inspect the house. Hire an inspector, a house inspector. Mm-hmm. Then go visit it again. Then ask again. Ask a bunch of questions, deep questions about such and such and so. Make sure you cover all your bases when you discuss it with the owner. And only when you feel truly confident that this is going to be a fit for you and you've covered all your bases, put your money where your mouth is and make a down payment or pay first and last month's rent or whatever. This person tends to end up with very fulfilling homes that they're pleased with and that can last a long time. And they don't have to hop from home to home complaining about how bad the last one is because they found a good one.
Right.
And they didn't rush into it and they weren't desperate and they had standards. This is the same for hopping into bed with a partner.
Yeah.
You can hop in with a rush. I just want to get laid. I'm super horny and I have zero discipline. Like, okay, fine. But there are consequences to that. Mm-hmm. And now you're stuck with a crappy partner and now you're whining on Reddit. Yes. Or, you know what? Even though this is a good opportunity and this person looks from the outside to be a good fit, I'm not going to rush into this. I'm going to look deeper. I'm going to ask the questions. I'm going to make sure they check off my boxes, my main deal breakers. I don't want to get caught with a lemon. If I'm going to invest time and energy in this person and they're going to be a life partner to me for X amount of time, I'm going to make sure it counts and I want it to pay off. These people tend to find and choose fulfilling partners.
Yeah.
And they have a fairly fulfilling sex life, and anything that needs worked on, they know they have the basis of communication down, that checkbox is handled, similar goals, that checkbox is handled, similar ambitions and sex drives. So they're prepared to work through whatever needs worked on. They have some small renovations to make. This person is just like, whatever, I can't get internet in this area. This is a write-off.
Right.
And they're a mismatch and they can't ever make that work.
Right. Okay. Well, and if you're one of those people who had in the past just had no standards and didn't know your check boxes and had no idea what it even was about, don't feel bad, because I married a junkie while we were high on oxy. So you're not alone.
Yeah, it happens. I'm just saying now's the time to change. Now's the time to be wiser and invest better in people. Now's the time to find partners that truly match you.
Yes.
I don't care how bad it was in the past. You can change it now. And if that means ditching a lemon and going to find
lemonade,
a wise investment, then so be it. Get her done.
Get her done. Yeah. All right. I love it. I agree. I think that if you're unhappy in your situation and you have to go to Reddit and ask a bunch of strangers to make you feel better about your choice, then you really need to reevaluate your choice. And it's okay. We've all been there. You can change now. Yay. Well, thank you. So a lot of these questions that I came up with were a lot of questions that I found on Reddit. So
I picked up on that.
This next one is not ever been really an issue, and not a lot of this pertains to our actual relationship, but I thought it was a really good one, and I didn't know the answer to this before we were together. So I want him to initiate sex, but he never ever does. What can I do?
Yeah, great question. Super common. There's a bunch of different reasons this can happen, but I'll just focus on a main one or most common one, which is a lack of polarity or mismatched polarity in the relationship. So no spark. Sparks in human relationships are like sparks from a battery. You only get that spark jumping from one pole of the battery to the other when what?
When they're touching.
Well, the spark can jump when they're close.
When they're close.
Sure. But if I take a positive pole and put it next to a positive pole, are you going to get a spark jumping?
No.
Yeah. The spark flows from negative to positive or positive to negative. I don't remember the actual science, but it flows when one pole is polarized a certain way and the other is polarized the opposite way.
Right.
When you get two same poles, they don't
do nothing.
Yeah, you don't get the spark.
Right.
So with people in relationships, one partner needs to be polarized a certain way and the other needs to be polarized the opposite way, and you will get that spark. And I don't mean fighting or disagreeing. I just mean embodying a different way of being, embodying a different energy, embodying a different state. Hopefully you can tell when one partner is very masculine and the other partner is very feminine, or vice versa.
Right.
And even if it's a same-sex couple who both look kind of feminine, hopefully you're able to interact with them and vibe out which one of them is slightly more polarized masculine in that partnership and the other is slightly more polarized feminine in that partnership.
Yeah.
It's not ridiculous.
No.
It's a doable thing.
Yes.
And even if we get it wrong, we can usually ballpark it. So it's a thing. It's an observable thing.
Yes.
You can tell. And most importantly, you should be able to tell in yourself how you're being and how your partner is being. It's your relationship. Who would know better than you?
Right.
So let's walk through a couple examples. Let's say we have John and Sarah. In our first scenario, John goes to work, gets a big client, crushes it. He's getting promoted at his job. He's getting props from his boys. Things are going well. And Sarah is happily taking care of the kids and spending time with her friends and doing yoga and working on herself and so on. And although they're separate and they don't spend a lot of time together, John misses being around her feminine energy and Sarah misses curling up in his masculine presence. And so what happens when John comes home from work?
They want to spend time together.
Yeah, they want to bang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
She's probably texting him photos and stuff. He's probably saying, I'm looking forward to coming home and I miss you.
Yeah. All right.
Because in this example, we can see a very strong polarity that creates a very strong spark between these two.
Yeah.
Now, what if it's different? What if John has recently lost his job. He doesn't have much to do in the day. No clients want him. No one needs him. He tries to do some chores around the house to feel useful, but she wants to do most of them, or they clash in the kitchen and they bump into each other. So he just gives up and he's like, I can't even do stuff around the house. And so John's masculine status and prestige is fairly low. And so then while she's doing chores, he goes and plays with the kids or takes care of the kids or something. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with these things. It's not like a bad life or anything. But can you see how the polarity has shifted in their relationship? And now they're both kind of playing a feminine role. Or even if one's more masculine, it's not very drastic. There's not a big difference in polarity.
Yeah, because a lot of men have trouble when they're not working and they feel like they are not contributing. And that's why, in your example, he wants to help out because he needs to feel like he's doing something and taking care of them.
Well, and does Sarah really want to be with a partner who isn't doing anything?
No.
So she's not going to be thrilled about it either.
Right. Like they're used to spending time apart. And so now he's underfoot all the time. Every time she turns around, there he is. And she wants to choke him. She doesn't want to be with him and be intimate. She wants him to go away.
Right. And maybe he even starts playing video games to get that sense of accomplishment and progression.
Right.
I made it to level 50. I'm crushing it. I'm good at this game. I'm talented. I'm focused. I'm a man. Like video games feel good to masculine people for the most part.
Right.
But then she hates on that too. So he's like, I can't succeed at work. I can't help out around the house. I play video games to feel better. And she doesn't even want me to have that. What happens to the spark in John and Sarah's relationship?
Dies.
Okay. And so now, whenever they meet up or go to bed at night, is John going to feel like initiating?
No.
And I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. And I'm not saying everyone has to be masculine and everyone has to be feminine and we have to be trad wife roles and whatever. I'm just pointing out polarity exists in all partnerships. You can see it.
Yes.
And the more we play our roles, the more we polarize ourselves, the greater the spark we get.
Okay.
And if spark has died in your relationship, you might want to take a step back with some self-awareness and start looking at what happened and what things need to be changed to restore that polarity.
Yeah, so that's very true. And so if you go into dead bedrooms on Reddit, you'll see lots of these stories over and over again. Even if John doesn't lose his job, she becomes the controlling beast. And I don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean like,
she becomes quite masculine.
Yeah, she like starts to take over. And so I know this because it happened to me too. Like in my last relationship, I was the one that was in charge of everything. He had zero responsibility other than to work. That was it.
But does a man or a masculine person do well with zero responsibility?
No.
Should you take away a man's responsibility?
No.
Is that, or a masculine partner's responsibility? Is that ideal?
No.
Is that going to create the spark you're looking for?
No, that's not.
But you went ahead and did.
Yes. And so I think that a lot of people don't understand what you're saying about the polarity being important because they'll say, oh, we're equal or we're balanced or we do 50-50, but you can't have two cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah. And I always compare it to like actors and audience.
Yeah.
Actors and audience are equal. Like they're both humans playing their role.
Right.
And if you put actors doing their role well and an audience doing their role well, you get a very wonderful stage experience, play experience.
Yes.
But if the actors are doing a shitty job at their role, it all falls apart. Nobody's happy about this. If the audience is freaking ridiculous, like a terrible audience, or they don't show up, or they just don't pay attention, or they throw litter everywhere, it's again a terrible experience.
Yeah.
So they may be equal, but you need people playing their roles and playing them well. And the better they play their roles, the better everything unfolds and pans out. And the same goes in a relationship. You could be same sex, you could be different gender, you could be whatever you want, but whatever you are, those partners better be playing their role well if you want that spark.
100%. I've had relationships with women, sexual relationships, like actual girlfriends. And in those relationships, one of us had to be the masculine and one of us had to be the feminine.
Sure.
It's just how it goes. Otherwise, there was so much confusion because no one knows who's going to lead. No one knows. And in my personality, if no one else leads, I'm going to.
Yeah, you don't want the audience running up on stage.
No.
And you don't want the actors just sitting down in the audience.
Right.
Play your role and it will go well. Polarize yourself, right? Take that polarity and own it. It doesn't have to be there all the time. A lot of couples have a guy who goes out into the world and he's masculine all day. And he gets tired of bossing people around and he wants to come home and be submissive and feminine and gentle for a while and looked after and cared for with zero responsibility. That's fine if that's your rule and your partner's cool with it. So then you come home and you turn off and they take charge.
Yeah, the key point of that is if your partner's cool with it. So, like, but this is the thing with so much feminism and like the aggressive woke people that are saying that we need to be equal and we need to be the same, but this is why none of them can keep relationships. This is why they're all poly, is because they don't know how to have a proper relationship. They don't understand what you're saying, the polarity. Somebody has to lead and somebody has to follow. That is a normal relationship. If two people are in the kitchen trying to cook, if two people are trying to lead a relationship, it's a giant cluster F. And it's the same if both people are trying to be the follower. Who are you going to follow if no one's a leader?
Yeah, a relationship is a great dance.
Yeah.
But like any great dance, someone has to lead and someone has to follow, or you're screwed.
Yeah, great example.
You'd be tripping over feet and hurting each other and stubbing toes and shredding nails and whatever. It's a nightmare. And same for relationships. If people don't know their roles, it's a nightmare. So yeah, this is a big topic, but hopefully that sets the stage and explains the basics and you can dig into it further, right?
Yeah.
In Eyes Wide Open, I have a few pages on David Data and that recommends his books. He's probably the master at this.
You know, we've gotten a lot of feedback from the book recently because I've been sharing it with lots of people. And one of the things that people are really loving is your extra recommended at the bottom. So we are giving away free copies of Eyes Wide Open Volume 1 in a PDF form. Why? Because we don't make any money on the hard book and we lose money and we want to help you get the information. And Jay gives fresh views on taboos in this amazing book. And he talks about David Data, like he said. What's the value of being sexy? Page 16 and 17 are relationships transactional. And how can you create a spark with anyone? Those are really two great pages. And one of them talks about David Data some more. So I think it's wonderful what you're doing, and because this is the world's first self-help coffee table book. And like I said, we're giving it away for you, probably forevermore, because now I have a workbook and audiobook that I can sell that's also about to launch. So we love you. Buy my book. Okay, so this was an issue in my last relationship. What do you do if my partner wants to schedule time in the calendar for sex, but I think it's weird because it should be spontaneous?
It's a good question.
Thanks.
So first, let's look at some other activities. There are many activities that people say they want, but then are unable to experience. A lot of people say they want travel, but then they're unable to experience it. A lot of people say they want exercise, but they're unable to experience it. A lot of people say they want to do a certain hobby, but then they're unable to experience it. Why? Okay, what reasons do they normally give for why they can't exercise or do their hobby or travel?
They're busy.
They're too busy. They don't have time in their schedule. They don't have enough money for it. They can't find someone to take the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yada, 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 yada. As if these are new problems that no one in history has ever faced.
Yeah.
Right. So basically they blame a lack of time or money. And what they're really saying is they're not creative, positive, and focused enough to manage their time and money, to free up time and money for these desired activities.
Right.
Okay. So when it comes to playtime between two partners, what are the common reasons that they say this doesn't happen?
Busy. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. We have the kids. We don't have a sitter. We don't have space, blah, blah, blah.
All the same things, again, as if these crazy problems no one has ever faced before.
Right.
How could we possibly solve them? And again, what they're really saying is they haven't been able to manage their time well enough, or manage their money well enough, or manage their resources well enough, or earn enough extra resources to engage in this activity that they claim they want.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like with the hobbies, same thing.
Right.
But it's uncomfortable to say that. It's uncomfortable to take responsibility on ourselves. It's much more comfortable to say, I'm a victim who does not have enough time or money or babysitters. That's why I can't do this thing, honey. I'm sorry, I can't play with you tonight.
Yeah.
It's much less comfortable to say, you know what? I probably could have used my time better this morning and freed up an hour this evening to do this. I probably could have earned more money and hired a babysitter by now. I probably could have quit my job, found a less abusive job, and freed up time for us. It's uncomfortable to say these things.
Yes.
Or from your side, if your partner is super overworked Have you been out there shopping his resume around? Have you been trying to find him another job, right? He's too busy to even look. Have you done something to manage the time and manage the resources and make more room and more money? Or do you just point fingers and say, oh, my partner doesn't have time for sex, or he's always trying to cram it in or schedule it or whatever? Are you just pointing fingers, or are you addressing the root cause, right? If the root cause is lack of time or lack of money or lack of resources, what's the solution? I could have sex if I had more time, money, and resources, but I don't have time, money, and resources. I wonder what we could do to solve this. I think we need to come up with a way
to get time, money, and resources. Hey,
there you go. Now, is that impossible? No adult human being on earth has ever come up with more time, money, or resources?
No.
Oh, so it's doable.
Yeah.
Okay. But you see how this is all about taking personal responsibility and taking personal control and changing the conditions that prevent sex.
Right.
So usually people who are scheduling sex are the people who feel that they don't have enough time to let it happen organically.
Right.
If they're to let it happen organically, life will just get too busy and there's too many things going on and it will never get there and I can't plan around it and whatever. Or maybe it's someone who needs a lot of foreplay and they need a lot of time to build up. So they need a certain deadline or due date or whatever.
Right.
But would they feel that way if they were on a cruise where there's literally nothing calling for their attention? Do they need to schedule sex when they're on a 4-week cruise through the Mediterranean?
No.
Oh, interesting. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So a lot of people want their sex to be organic and not scheduled, but then they don't set up the conditions for a cruise, because you could have that organic sex that's not scheduled if you set up the cruise, but then you have to save up money. Maybe you have to cut back on your Starbucks. Maybe you have to get your own job or something. Oh, I don't want to do that. I just want it not scheduled.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Like,
right.
There are many things in life people want. There are many activities and interactions we want to experience. But if you take a look at it, most people refuse to create the conditions for that to exist. Most people want a ton of money, but they stay at a dead-end job for their entire career. Is that how you create the conditions for a ton of money?
No.
Maybe they should learn entrepreneurship and marketing and sales and start a side hustle and really get their feet wet and figure out how to create a ceilingless income.
Yeah.
That's how you create the conditions for lots of money.
Right.
Or at least learn to buy lottery tickets regularly or something. Like you have to make a change.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. People don't want to make a change. If you want to exercise and you don't have time in the day, you might have to create the conditions by waking up earlier. A lot of people wake up early to exercise.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of.
No.
Oh, but if I suggest that to someone, they get all pissy at me.
Oh, yeah. I don't have time.
You have to create the conditions for the things you want to experience. It doesn't just happen by waving a magic wand or happen out of thin air. You as a human being must contribute to the thing that you want.
Right.
When you were a kid, if you wanted a toy, you didn't just sit in your crib and whine. You badgered mom for it. You cut out coupons for it. You borrowed it from a friend and brought it home. You contributed to bringing that into your life. If mom said, if you do extra chores, you can have it. You were off to do extra chores. You didn't care about changing your life or putting in some hard work or doing extra stuff to get what you wanted. You were happy to create the conditions for the experience you want.
Yeah.
If people want organic, unplanned, unscheduled sex, they may have to do some work to create the conditions for that. And if their partner says, oh, I hate that, I challenge you to take them on a 4-week cruise and see what happens. Bullshit, you hate that. When I create the conditions for it, you're happy to do it. And so maybe that person needs a passive income job or an internet job, or maybe you guys need to put away a bunch of savings to get that unplanned sex that you want or whatever. I don't know, but you got to start thinking like a creative human, and you got to start putting your attention towards it and creating the conditions for that to happen. Just like you did when you were a kid and you wanted a toy.
Yeah. Or you can light a bunch of candles and give your partner a massage and then give her amazing.
There you go.
sex.
And it might just happen. What if your partner came home and you were dressed to kill and super lingerie and nice scent in the air? Would it lead to unplanned, unscheduled sex? Or would they just piss all over it and fuck off? But are you ready for the gamble? Or are you going to take it super personally when it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to invest? Are you willing to try something? Anyone who says they want X, but they refuse to do Y or Z, I'm like, you don't deserve X. You don't deserve it.
Yeah.
You should not get it.
I agree. I see people who are complaining about this often, but they're never trying to make the conditions happen. They're never working on helping the root cause of the issue. So.
Yeah. And there's those two attitudes, right? Are they panicky and crunchy and stressed about it? Or are they methodically and calmly taking steps towards it?
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, you're the best. This is the 5th thing for epic sex that no one has ever told you. What do you think so far about 1 through 4? Because I never hear anyone talking about these ever. So, Jay, there's a lot of debate out there on whether people should change to be their preferences for their partners or not. So I want to ask you, do we have to change to try to be super hot to meet our partner's preferences, or shouldn't they just like us how we are?
Good question. Let me ask you something. Are you on Earth to stay the same forever, or are you on Earth to change?
Oh, I'm on Earth to change.
How about everyone else? Have you ever met someone who's on Earth to be the same forever, or has everyone you met been destined for change?
Every one of us comes here to change. We are not toddlers. Otherwise, if we weren't meant to change, we'd never learn to walk or talk or read or write.
Yeah, change and growth have been your number one go-to since you were an infant.
Right.
Okay. And would you say the purpose of relationships is to keep people the same or to foster their change and spark further change?
Great question. Yeah, our relationships are here for that, to foster and spark change in us.
Yeah. Your relationship with your parents when you were young, did it spark change in you?
Yes.
Now, as a parent, your relationship with your kids, does it spark change in you?
Yes.
Okay. Your relationship with your boss or your employer, whether it was a dead-end job or the best job you've ever had, did it spark change in you?
Yes.
Okay. And so your relationship with your sexual partner or partners should ideally spark what?
Change.
Like all other relationships.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're on Earth to change, just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Your relationships are meant to spark that change, just like all relationships.
Mm-hmm.
In light of that, how does it feel to ask, shouldn't my partner just accept me exactly as I am and never nudge me towards any change?
When you say it that way, I mean, my partner's supposed to nudge me towards change.
Right. And did you come to Earth to be an unhealthy, giant whale uggo who never gets more attractive in any way?
No.
Well, whatever. I don't know. You know what you came to Earth for. But the point is, if deep in your heart, the answer is no, I came to be healthier and fitter and more active and more beautiful and so on, then what kind of partner should you be hooking up with?
One who inspires that change.
Yeah.
Well, my last relationship, he would come home with Diet Coke and Reese cups pretty much every day and also bring candy to the kids as well. Thought he was doing a great thing. I thought it was such a nice thing, but he was inspiring me to be the same person.
Right.
And this is what caused a lot of the downfall of our relationship.
I get it. And we have an episode on fat shaming and body positivity. It's quite interesting. And in that, I point out that someone like Ashley Graham might actually be on Earth to become bigger and bigger with a higher body mass index or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But in that case, should she be hooking up with a partner who just keeps her the same?
No, because she still has to grow, even if it's physically or not.
Yeah, even if she's growing bigger physically, it should be a partner who nudges her towards that.
Yes.
Exactly. So I don't know where this weird like Disney idea of accept me as I am and make sure I never change and let me just be lazy and comfortable in this relationship idea came around. Like, sure, don't let people narcissistically shape you and mold you into some weird thing you were never meant to be and never wanted to be. Fine. But at the same time, don't be hooking up with doormats who don't push you to be anything.
Yeah, like we're not saying be in a relationship with an abusive man who beats you every time you eat a chip because you're not losing weight, like, and you're comfortable at your weight and he wants you to be a stick, so do it. No, that's not what we're saying at all. So.
No, but if your partner is saying, look, this doesn't seem healthy, you've been on a downward spiral, it's getting worse, I believe you're destined for better, you've told me you want to improve your health, I need to speak up and set a boundary and tell you I'm not going to be with you if you continue on this dark path.
Yes.
That's a different story.
That's actually really love, because somebody who stays with you while you're spiraling and feeds into the spiral, this is somebody who's trying to actually manipulate and control. And it looks like love from the outside. While you're
it looks like they accept me for who I am.
Right. But my last relationship, I was angry and miserable and depressed all the time. I was addicted to painkillers. I was just abusing all kinds of everyone and everything. Just a terrible person I was. And he fed into that. And other people would say, when we split up, they were like, oh, he's such a good guy. Why would you leave him? And he's a great person. He has a great heart and he's a lovely person.
And didn't you get mad thinking I was trying to change you?
But Yeah, hold on. I'm going to get there 1 second. But this man tried to change me in no way, but I was so desperate for change that as soon as I met you, who was all about change, I changed right away. But then there was a point where I was like, he wants to change me in a way that I don't feel comfortable with. But that wasn't true because I was very clear that I wanted change and I needed to be a better person. And
You told me you wanted to be a Latina Barbie.
Yeah.
You said those words.
I know.
I'm like, all right.
But when I felt bad about myself, it was easier to blame you than me. Oh, I'm not losing the weight. Oh, I'm not doing the things to improve my mental health and to improve myself, my body, my mind. Oh, then it's your fault because you want to change me. Like that was so unfair and so ridiculous, especially because the basis of our relationship was I want to change and be a better person. This is who I am deep inside, and I really want to be this. And you encouraged that and pushed me to do the things that felt right. And I remember in the very, very beginning, you said to me, if you want to be a sumo wrestler size, I'll help you gain weight and get to that. If you want to lose weight and become Barbie size, I will help you and get to that size. Whatever you want, I will help you achieve.
But I won't let you stay the same forever.
Right.
Because that's very not clear. Healthy.
No. Our company's name is Rise. This is what we do. This is what we're about. This is why we say keep rising at the end of every episode. Because we believe in rising ourselves and helping you guys rise as well. So, yeah. Thank you so much for staying with me through the times where I was confused and a dummy, and because it was easier to blame you than take personal responsibility for myself with what I wasn't doing. So
yeah, even now when you say I want to keep on top of XYZ, I suggest maybe you change your system.
Yes, I made a system and my system failed. So what do? We change it, we fix it, and we grow from it. And that's it.
Yeah. And what's going to lead to a better sex life with your partner? For most people, a hotter version of you or a less hot version of you?
A hotter version of you.
Right. So if you want your partner to initiate, is it better to point fingers and whine that he's not initiating? Or is it better to hit the gym, crush it, work out, and become irresistible?
Yes, that one.
Yes. Right. If your partner doesn't take you out enough, do you think it will raise your chances if you're hotter and more show-offable and make him look better while you're on his arm? Or do you think it lowers your chances?
If you're hotter and you're better, it raises the chances of him wanting to spend time with you and take you out. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
So a lot of people complain, my partner won't initiate. But the secret second half of that sentence is, and I'm way too lazy to become hot enough or irresistible enough to compel him.
Yeah.
Or my partner doesn't take me out enough. And the second half of that sentence is, and I'm way too afraid to become show-offable and to make him look good on his arm.
Yeah, and if you're spending all day in sweats and a messy bun and you're never getting dressed, and that's a thing for us as well. I know it's easier and it's more comfortable to look like that. But if you want something from your partner and he's giving you hints of what he'd like, then if you want that, then maybe do it. Like, why not?
Yeah. And someone who cares about a truly epic sex life is always looking for the hints. What does my partner want? What gets them riled up? What gets them turned on? Like,
yeah,
I'm on it. I'll do it. And they don't need the person to sit them down and say, honey, these are my deal breaker boxes. And if you do this, then I'm going to initiate with you. They don't need that. Someone who truly cares about an epic sex life is just on it. Right? When I want to get better at League of Legends, I don't need someone to sit me down and say, this is how you get better and this is what you do. I'm on Reddit. I'm on League. I'm practicing. I'm testing things out. I'm figuring things out. I'm taking my losses and taking my L's and taking my failures and learning from them. And soon I'll be great at it. I'll be a League of Legends superstar. But you don't get those things without putting in the work, taking your lumps, taking your failures, and becoming better. And this is what happens often with dead bedrooms and poor sexual relationships is people feel entitled to these incredible results, but refuse to put in the work or create the conditions that lead to those results or increase the chances of those results. And they won't even lift a finger until it's guaranteed. Will I get sex if I dress nice today? If it's guaranteed, they might do it, but they won't just do it just to be better. They won't do it just to be a better partner or to be more attractive or as a gamble or to see if it helps or to experiment. They will lay in their bed in comfy sweats forever until someone sets it up like a transaction. If you dress up, I will bang you.
Yeah.
Then they might get up and do it, but they still might feel entitled and just be like, well, whatever. If that's what you need, then I'm not even going to do that.
Yeah. And then they'll turn around and say, oh, he's transactional with our relationship and this is a shitty thing. And I should be able to look like a slob and have baby vomit on me and him still think I'm sexy. Like, come on. Come on.
If I want to get laid by my partner or by a bunch of women or whatever it is, I have to earn more. Like, that's a thing. Like, I can't be some poor bum. Are you going to stay with a guy who continually gets poorer and poorer and poorer?
No.
Are you going to feel more attracted to a guy who continually gets poorer and poorer and poorer?
No.
So I can't just say, but shouldn't you love me how I am? And if I don't want to get richer and richer, I should still get laid. You should still bang.
These are my check boxes. We're going back to the second one because my check boxes are ambition and success. Like, these are vital check boxes that my ex-husband did not check. And I was like, oh, okay, well, he checks these other shitty little ones. So that's okay. Hell no, never again.
Okay. So then should a guy continually be attracted to a woman who's progressively getting uglier and uglier and fatter and unhealthier and unhealthier?
No.
Right. But if she's been refusing to get her exercise equipment or refusing to get her a gym membership or refusing to change the diet in the household or whatever, now he can't say anything.
No, because if she wants to improve herself, but you're giving pushback. So I have a special diet because for multiple reasons, not necessarily for weight loss, but the side effect is weight loss. I can only eat sourdough bread, right? I can't eat anything else. It upsets my stomach. It's not good for me and it hurts my teeth, right? So if I said I can only eat sour bread and you come home with 4 loaves of white bread and wheat bread and rye bread and some other shit I can't eat. To me, this is you're telling me you don't care. And so why should I give you sex if you don't even care about what I can eat?
Exactly. So relationships are meant to change us and partners are meant to change us. And they're meant to help us be more of who we really are. They're meant to help us tap into our true power and true authenticity and become more of who we are in our hearts. Whether that's more of a plus size person or whether that's more of a hot super celebrity or whatever it is, our partners are meant to make us more of who we are. And we can always tell if they're doing that. We can tell if they're giving us pushback and preventing the change we want. I can tell if someone's making me less successful or more successful. And you can tell whether someone's making you slimmer or fatter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the answer to your question is no, you don't have to become hotter to get sex from your partner, but deep down in your heart, you probably want to. Deep down in their heart, they probably want you to. And together, you could both put your heads together and actually achieve that. And it would lead to more and better sex. So
yeah, and
tell me.
I agree totally. And I think it also goes with what we were just saying earlier about setting up the right conditions. Well, if you know your partner likes to look at girls in bikinis and you're not comfortable in a bikini, but your partner still loves you and he's with you, no one's telling you. He's not saying, go and make yourself bikini body ready.
But you might want to.
But he's not giving you sex. So if you set up the conditions of, I'm going to work out while he's at work, and one day I'm just going to bust out with a bikini and he's not even going to know, like...
You don't think that's going to lead to sex?
I mean, hello, of course. The more weight I lose and the more attractive I get, the more you're all over me. So like but you always have been. So, but why wouldn't I want to set up the right conditions
for more
yeah. and for better and for him, for you or your partner to have the thing they want? They're clearly with you and they love you and care about you, but why not make it even better? So yeah, it's so good. Thank you.
Yeah. And the only time that goes awry is if you don't have the self-awareness or check boxes covered, because then maybe one of his check boxes is, a bigger woman or something, or maybe his check box is secretly gay or something. And it's like, you didn't catch that on the initial interview or something. Right. Well, okay. Now it doesn't matter how hot you get, it's going to be a problem.
No, unless you can grow something that you don't have.
But that's why we talked about self-awareness and check boxes first.
Right. Fair play. This is really good. Really helpful. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all your help. Thank you for teaching me all these amazing things. And thanks for letting me ask some questions that, even though they weren't related to our relationship and what's going on, spending a lot of time on Reddit, it's frustrating to me that I can't answer these people. And now I have this episode that I can DM to people to try to help them as much as possible. Because if you're out there asking somebody for help, then you're opening yourself up to getting answers. And I really want to help you. And I know you do too. So thank you. And I just have one more question. Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with our wonderful audience?
Yes. Self-awareness, check boxes, polarity, scheduling and conditions, and changing for better sex are 5 ingredients to an epic sex life that nobody talks about.
Yeah, agreed.
And the thing about ingredients is you don't have to put them all into your cake. You don't have to use all of these ingredients. But the more you use, the better your sex life is going to be. It's going to be juicier. It's going to be tastier. It's going to be all the things. So if you apply yourself to getting the hang of these, improving these, and mastering these, you're going to level up your intimacy with any partner, even if they're not open to a podcast like this. That's the beauty of it. You just change yourself and things will change for you. It doesn't require anyone else. You were destined for epic sex. You were put on earth for epic sex, and you're going to have epic sex. As long as you have a patient, calm, methodical approach to it, you apply more of these ingredients and make mental, emotional, and physical changes inside yourself. Because the more we change ourselves, the more we change our reality. You got this. I believe in you. Rise up.
Ooh, I love it. And that's why our book and this podcast are called Eyes Wide Open. And after today, now you know the 5 things for an epic sex life that no one has ever taught you. So now you can watch this video here and do a deep dive on polarity, which is number 3, to help you keep your eyes wide open.
Keep rising.